apologies about the interruptions there. I think I had my office door closed and I think that caused my wireless to drop out. So it's a learning progress, and next time I'll sit closer to the modem. Right, just to point out a few things on this marking grid. Most people get the introduction done, comparative question done. Most people get the 2 graphs you need. Comparative statements about, so this is your analysis in CUSS. Just be very clear in this section whether you're talking about the sample or whether you're talking about the population. So keep those 2 words or those ideas separate and do that well. Third person writing will be good in the whole report. And then this one here, occasionally people separate this as a separate paragraph and write about sampling variability. Really, if you're going to get to the high grades, this has to be implied throughout the whole report, and it doesn't need a separate paragraph. If you do the conclusion really well and you talk about bootstrapping, you're doing sampling variability. Bootstrapping is mitigating the idea that one sample's not enough. You need more than one sample. So if you talk about bootstrapping, you're really showing your knowledge of sampling variability. And this section here, as I was saying, it sums up the report. It connects it back with the introduction. A good tip is to read before you hit submit. Is read your introduction, then read your conclusion, and you should be able to read both and understand everything in the middle without reading the middle. So make sure that the intro and the conclusion connect to each other, and the conclusion summarizes the analysis, and then it connects back to the introduction. This box here for excellence is the hardest box to get ticked off. It's really thinking outside the box. It's extended abstract, and as I was saying, I will highlight what I think is extended abstract when I read your exemplars, and we'll share those ideas. Well, I'd love to share those ideas. I'm not sure how we'll share the ideas yet, but it's really important that you hand it into practice so there's no debate about what extended abstract is and what it's not. So that's really the purpose of our practice, is trying to understand what's outside the box, what's extended abstract, and what's just the mundane, expected blah that everyone else does, right? So you have to think about the context of the situation very carefully and make sure you talk about the context. Right, some exemplars. Here's the first one. No, it's not. Minimize that and bring this one up. Here's the first one up. First one, it's about strawberries and whether pollination by wind or pollination by bees is a better pollinator. And if I scroll down here, oh, that's the end, that's why. Scroll up to the top. That's the introduction, some research in there, don't forget to research. And if I just show you, oh yeah, so this one was about the redness of the strawberry, and it's about the difference in mean, bootstrapped. This is about the redness and the difference in median, still both positive. Then they've done a CSS or a CUSS on that particular sample, and it's about redness. This is the order I'd like you to do it in. I'd like you to show the sample, do the CUSS, and then do the bootstrap, not the other way around. Makes more sense in my mind, at least in that way. Then they've looked at the mass, difference in mean, bootstrapped, mass, difference in median, bootstrapped. Then they've done the CSS. Then they've done the what's this one? The commercial value in US dollars per 1,000 fruits. So this is a measure of how much they're worth, but a comparison between bee pollination and wind pollination. And this is about the mean. Yeah, the mean. This one's about the mean, and this one down here will be about the median. Another bootstrap graph. Just one other point here. They've been very clear about their sample comment, and their population comment. And this is a good example of how to do the bootstrapping comment, which is also on page 40 of your workbooks. Right, getting down to the business end. Oh, they've done more. They've done the pollination type versus commercial, the money one, the aspect. So they've actually got it. You can actually highlight these by a third variable, and this one was about the redness. So they color-coded redness and compared the commercial value. So you can see the redness, the darker red ones are sold for more money. Now, this bit here is quite a good idea. It's not required for any of the grades, but it's an idea on how you could show off your understanding on sampling variability. And what they've done is they've just bootstrapped 1, 2, 3, 4 different times and snipped them into their Word document. And notice that every time their lower and upper limit is changing, and that's just showing off that even within the simulation of bootstrapping, you're still going to have slightly different limits in terms of where you think the true population difference is. Note, and when you do make your claims, don't be round maybe 1 dp and round outward. So this one would be 6.8. This one would be to 9.6. This one would be 9.5, 6.9, not 7, 6.9. So remember, statisticians are always cautious. So you make the interval slightly wider than what might be otherwise. Now, as I was saying, conclusion summarizes everything, and this set paragraph here summarizes the whole analysis bootstrapping section, and then the rest of it connects it back to the research and where the inference can be used, how far ranging it could go, were there any errors, do you trust the conclusion that you made, that kind of thing. Alright, so that's that exemplar. This was the other one, and basically I just wanted to show you this conclusion from this one. It's the same content or context rather as about about strawberries. Now notice that this person got excellence as well, and they've done it in first person, but you can quite easily change it and it sounds better. Overall, based on the given sample, these strawberries pollinated by bees have a higher commercial value. So you can quite easily get rid of the I can conclude bits. And this person, to be honest, if you read it, their sentences are far too long. And when I read it earlier today, I realized, I could have put about 6 more bullet point full stops in this paragraph. And also, this should be a separate paragraph, so maybe an enter there, and I'd even look at that and say it's quite a long paragraph, because long sentences, long paragraphs aren't very easy to read. So overall, based on, in fact, I'm not going to read it to you because it'll take too long, but this is a good conclusion to pause the video now and to have a read how well they've connected it, summarized their analysis, and then connected it back to their research. And that's all I really wanted to say, really. You can see that both of these students have written too much, by the way, because as soon as you start repeating the same skills, you're not getting that extended abstract at all. You've got to read between the lines and read beyond the text, like we would say in English. But other than that, yeah, send me any questions that you might have on email. I'm checking my emails pretty regularly, so yeah, good luck. See if you can turn something into me by the end of tomorrow. Otherwise, let me know if you can't.